So that's us live, guys. I'm here with Mem and Peter from On The Block. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us, Kevin.
Thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate you having us on.
So where are you guys from? You from south of England or?
I'm originally from London,
Right.
and I'm now living in Toronto in Canada.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
right,
originally
okay.
from Turkey, and now I'm living in Toronto as well.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, like when I heard you speaking, Peter, I heard the London accent, and I thought, oh, maybe you are based in the south of England or something.
Used to, born and raised there.
So, what was it? A job or something that took you both over?
No, not really. Just family. My immediate family were planning to move over to Canada because I have a lot of family here as well. It didn't quite work out because of the financial crash in 2008. My parents decided to stay in London, England, but I kind of had my heart set on coming, so I just moved out here on my own 10 years ago.
Right. I mean, it's not too far. What is that, about 7-8 hours on a plane?
Yeah,
It's not
7-8
too bad.
hours.
So, how did you guys, I know that you started your YouTube channel recently, and I saw in your introduction trailer that you said that you got involved in 2014.
2014, 2015, yeah.
So how did you guys get involved? Did you start buying coins? Did you start mining? How did you get involved?
We started buying, just investing into Bitcoin back then. We heard about it a lot longer before, but by the time we'd actually done the research and realized what it actually was, it was around like end of 2014, beginning of 2015. So we started by just investing into Bitcoin itself, then into the altcoins. Then we invested into mining, and from then we set up our own company, consulting and helping companies break into the blockchain space.
Yeah, so Pete got involved in it earlier than me. So he was in it like early 2015, late 2014, and then late 2016. That's when he really sat me down and told me about it. I mean, I was kind of on the fence about it, listening to what was going on around that time, and he really sat me down and said, look, this thing's pretty freaking cool, you should check it out. And that's the time that Pete and I really started to connect really well. I'm actually married into Pete's family, so I'm married to his cousin. Yeah, so that's we used to see each other at like family events and stuff like that, but when he just sat me down and really started to give me a talk about what Bitcoin is and what it can mean for, the future, what it can mean for civilization, what it could mean for, taking out middlemen and all of those types of things. I mean, I really, really like that storyline. And that's when I really started to get involved. And then, last year, Pete and I really, really started to take a look at it and said, look, we really believe in this thing. So let's try to put everything that we have behind it. Beyond our money, let's put our time into it, and that's the most valuable asset we both have, and I think anyone has. So that's why we're spending time on our channel, growing our company out. We have a course now, kind of educating people about what cryptocurrency is, what Bitcoin is. So yeah.
So I mean, 3 or 4 years in cryptocurrency, that usually like the OGs of the game now. It's amazing how fast it goes. So
yeah, that's crazy. I mean, you could be in 8 months and you're an OG. Like
and this climate. So what was this? Was that around, when was MT Gox? When did that go down? Was that 2013?
End of 2013 into 2014.
Right. So you were kind of just after all that.
Yeah, I kind of witnessed that because my friends were involved in crypto before that, and I was very skeptical at the time. Yeah. So I kind of watched the 2014 bear market from afar and got in at the end of it when I'd done enough research, went down the rabbit hole deep enough to realize that, okay, this is going to change the world, not just Bitcoin, but blockchain tech as a whole. And I used to follow WikiLeaks very closely. I don't as much no more. I mean, I'm still very interested in it, but that really sparked my interest early on in Bitcoin. Just that it just proved that it was censorship resistant. Yeah. When the bank blockade happened and the credit card companies, PayPal, the banks blocked all donations to WikiLeaks, and then they set up a page and allowed people to donate with Bitcoin, I was like, hold on a second, like so this can't be shut down.
Yeah.
That really like set something off in my mind to send me down the rabbit hole. But it still took me years to actually invest into it. And just because I saw the hack happen and the crash, and that scared me away. But yeah, after the 2014 bear market, that's when I got into it.
Well, was Justin Assange, was he free then? Because obviously he's in the Ecuadorian embassy in London now.
So at the time he was free.
Right.
And shortly after, he obviously went to the Ecuadorian embassy, and he's been there ever since. But at the time,
that remains one of the most ridiculous situations ever.
I know, man. Yeah. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy what the powers that be can do to somebody or to an organization. Yeah. If they don't like what you're doing, they'll just take you out.
Well, it's the same with, who was the guy in the USA they did the film on? The guy Snowden. Yeah, Edward Snowden. It's the same with that. That guy should be, looked at as an American hero, and
100%.
He's been chased across the world.
100%.
When they were doing the presidential debates right before Trump was elected, they asked, it was Bernie, Hillary, and Trump, and they asked, is he a hero or is he a villain? And like, I think Burns was like, yeah, he's definitely like, he's a hero type of thing. And Hillary was just like, well, when we have to bring him back and he has to face the music. And I was like,
yeah.
Shut up,
As a surprise, she said that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a fan of many politicians, but Bernie Sanders seems like one of the nicer ones. In fact, the guy in Canada's quite good. The guy in Canada's okay, is he not? The young boy, is it
Trudeau? Yeah, he's okay.
Yeah, he's all right. I mean, in Canada,
as far as politicians go, anyway.
In Canada, it's not a lot of this crazy politics going on, just because. I mean, it's a huge country land-wise. It's the second in the world, but population-wise, we're only
everyone's along the border.
California.
Yeah.
Right. We're 1/10 of the states, and everyone is more to the center, right?
Yeah.
So whereas it's very polarized in the States, like you're either really right or really left.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. There's only 2 political parties really in the USA as well.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's
it's kind of the
crazy.
It's kind of the same in the UK, I guess. There's a couple of smaller groups, but it's still Labour and Tory.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Like, I think people should be given more of a choice than just 2 people,
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the presidential election in the USA, the choice was Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people didn't vote because they were like, fuck both these guys.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what was that Richard Pryor film in the 80s, the Brewster's Millions, where he said none of the above?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so he basically runs as like the mayor, and he says none of the above, as in don't vote for anyone. But then he wins.
Yeah. But you know what though, Kevin? I think what's happening in both England and America right now, so you've got the whole Brexit thing in England, and you've got Trump being president in America, is shaking up things and causing a bit of chaos. And I think this is needed because the power structures that have been in place for so many years, there needs to be some kind of dissolvent. They need to dissolve a bit, and power needs to be spread about. And I think chaos is because of people are just fed up with, they didn't want the Clinton administration in power. People are just fed up of the power structure that's in place, and they want something different. And even though it is Trump and it is Brexit and it is causing chaos right now, I think eventually what's going to come out of this will be a better system.
Yeah, and I think Bitcoin is definitely going to play a role in this.
Oh, definitely.
When shit hits the fan, I don't know if it'll happen in the next 5 years, 10 years, maybe not even our lifetime. Who knows? But it can't continue this way, right? I think it's just unsustainable. I mean, the amount of debt that each country is in, the amount of interest that each country is paying, and the amount of just pressure that's on these people, just regular old citizens going about their day, being taxed to death and just having to work to death, and they're paying interest themselves and they're paying the country's interest. Like, at some point, people are going to start, and I think it's happening now. People are starting to wake up to it and starting to look for alternatives. And now you have this coin that was created by some geeks as Andreas Amantopoulos says, like, you know, the bankers brought you the Great Recession, we brought you the internet, right? So look at what geeks can do, look at what nerds can do. And now I think people are just going to start looking at Bitcoin and saying, hey, holy crap, like this thing is an alternative way. It's an alternative thing that we have. I mean, people that are leaving Venezuela right now because of the poorly handled situation by the powers.
Yeah, they've got the petrodollar and all that there just now, and I think their president actually came out and told everyone to sell their money and invest in petrodollar.
Yeah, that's what he did.
Specifically that coin. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but what's happening is as people are leaving, right before they get to the airport, they're being stopped at checkpoints, and their gold is being taken from them. Their cash is being taken from them. Right? Yeah. Like they have USD. Literally, that's theft. But because the government is doing it, you can't do anything.
But that's the thing. It kind of it's like a reminder. And I think if you talked about this kind of stuff 20 years ago, people would think you're some sort of paranoid lunatic. But as a reminder that it's almost like your wealth or everything you work for is almost like a privilege. I saw that when I was in Argentina. I remember I was traveling through South America, and I remembered that I would always try and keep dollars with me just because, you know, if you're going between countries, it's easy, like emergency money, to use dollars. And in Argentina, they weren't allowed, you just couldn't get dollars. They didn't want anyone to send their money outside the country, but the currency was crashing all the time. And their fix for it was, well, we're not going to let anyone send away any money. I mean, I don't know if this has happened in Turkey, but I know that, where was it? Was it Iran? There's been like a Bitcoin, or Saudi Arabia. There's been like a kind of micro economy being built around Bitcoin, where people were trading Bitcoin at twice the price. You know. Yeah,
that was Iran.
Iran, it happened. Yeah, especially when Bitcoin mining was, you know, legalized in Iran, where it was like, you know, go ahead, you can do what you're doing at home. Then the price just skyrocketed. I mean, that only happened a few months ago, but it was selling like 20% over the global average. So if Bitcoin is at 6,000, it was selling 20% over that within Iran, which was huge. But I mean, Bitcoin is huge in Turkey as well. I mean, shout out to Turkey, because that just makes me so proud. It's just because like we've seen it before. Like we've heard stories of our parents. Like Turkey not that long ago went through a military coup, but it was obviously unsuccessful. But there was successful ones in the 80s. So we've heard that from our parents growing up. They actually went through a military coup because the government wasn't doing the job well. They weren't doing the job correctly. And when that happens and an embargo was set in place, then all of a sudden your money starts to lose value and inflation goes crazy. And that's exactly what's happening now in Turkey. There was inflation that happened, was like 15% overnight. The Turkish lost 15%.
What's the government stance there on cryptocurrency? Because obviously, I mean, this is one of the things with crypto. The governments just don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to tax it. They don't know how to regulate it. And every country seems to be tackling it differently. I think it was Spain a couple of weeks ago. I mean, this was a news article, so I'm not sure how true this is, but they were talking about Spain wanted every single person to disclose every coin they've got, every single one. But then there's other countries, you maybe got Malta, that are doing the opposite and trying to attract people. Do you know how Turkey are handling it? Are they saying that you have to disclose it, or is it still illegal in a way, or illegal to mine?
The government isn't talking about it too much, which is...
It's kind of, I guess it's kind of the same in the UK, where like if you to phone up the Inland Revenue, the tax office in the UK, they would know how to even explain what the rules are.
Right. They don't. I mean, that's kind of the same in Turkey. They don't really know what it is, and they just got so much other things that they would have to worry about, that by the time it trickles down to cryptocurrency, it's not getting there yet, which is great news, because I mean, Turkey's becoming one of the most oppressive nations. Like they're trying to shut down Twitter every other day, but I mean, the people in Turkey are very tech savvy, and they've already figured out that the government doesn't want the people talking to each other. So every time that Twitter gets shut down, it's up in like the next 5 minutes. Using
I always
VPN.
find that that's kind of a pointless thing for governments to do, though, because they did that. Well, even going back like 10 years, they were trying to ban BlackBerry Messenger when there was like things happening in the Middle East, and then in Russia they were doing the same with, was it Telegram? maybe they were banning or something like that. But there's always going to be a social media service that allows people to message each other.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what they're always trying to do, but it's just this censorship thing, right? I mean, look, the way I look at it is, like, we have a friend, he's actually Romanian, and he's talking about how, like, his granddad, because they were part of the rebels. It's funny that they even call them rebels, because they're just guys that are defending their own home and their own families, but whatever, they're rebels. They would always talk through radio, right? Before radio was censored, right? Think about that time. So you can send messages to each other without someone reading what you're saying, right? It was through radio. And
yeah, they used to have like CB radio back in the day and all that. Like, yeah. I think that was big in the UK as well.
Yeah, probably, right? So I'm looking at Bitcoin as something like that, right? It's a way for, first of all, you can send messages, but now you can move money, which is just incredible. That amount of value is just great. I mean, so I did a history major, so I'm kind of like a history geek when it comes to this stuff. But during the Lindenberg trials, the one Nazi propaganda, like the specialist, he's like, you can give me control over the media, and you can give me control over the media and the bank, and I can sway the population any which way.
Oh, was that was it Goebbels that did that? Was he the one that was a minister of propaganda? I always get mixed up. I watched the one on Netflix recently. There was one on Netflix recently. It was World War I or World War II in color. It's really good. They colorized it all. It's really good. But
I haven't seen that yet. I do want to watch it though.
Yeah, but it's true though. They have that. They have the minister of propaganda there, because they know how influential it can be.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, once you see the playbook being played out, like once you read history and you see that, oh, okay, this was a playbook. I mean, it's unbelievable. The Turkish government, they're obviously, I don't want to compare them to the Nazi regime, but they've definitely taken some things out of their playbook, like that fear that they set into people, and like the commercials that they show, the amount of TV channels they have, the amount of journalists that are in jail now, judges and all that. So, I mean, the fact that Bitcoin ownership has increased so much in Turkey, it just gives me a little bit of hope. That's all. Yeah,
I mean, we are seeing that in a lot of governments that are, I guess, clamping down on people. There's more of an interest in cryptocurrency. I do think that even in the Western world, though, this is a big issue. I saw a video the other day. They were talking about the lip syncing thing. I don't know if you saw that, like software. Now, it's like where you can basically change what someone is saying. So one of the benefits of that would be if you're watching a Jackie Chan film and it's got subtitles and it's badly dubbed in English, they could change it so that his mouth moves and it looks like he's talking in English perfectly, and it's not like it's out of sync. But of course, you could use that for anything. You can use that for news. You can change what anyone's saying. So it's going to come to the point where you can't even trust video, because someone could have doctored it. And this software doesn't even look like it's that expensive. It looks like, they're not there yet, but 5-10 years time, you're not going to be able to trust video. Never mind what you read.
It's fucked up, man. When you think
it's
about,
scary.
I mean, I'm sure you probably read the book 1984 by George Orwell.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite books.
Right? Yeah. I read that book in high school. It was like part of English project that we had to do. Yeah. And that book is so relevant to today, especially like in London, England, and probably in Ireland as well.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, a place like North Korea exists, right? Like, sometimes we forget. Like, sometimes Pete and I will be here just chilling. I'm just like, yo, North Korea actually exists. Like, that is an actual place where you can't even like take a picture off the wall.
Yeah.
Without getting 30 years.
One of my friends actually went there. He did a tour thing. He went over, and it was like one of those organized tours. There's so many people per year.
Yeah.
But he said it was great. But obviously he's getting the sheltered, this is what our country looks like experience. Yeah, like it's scary. Like it's so easy to draw parallels with what's it called, Winston in 1984, with what goes on and how they doctor things. I I know we're kind of going, like, we're kind of following more of a political kind of tone here, but it's true. Like, I remember, going back to, I don't know if you were still living in the UK, but they did that with the Iraq War, where it was like UK and America were siding with Iraq because they were against Iran. So they said that the Iran gassed the Kurds, and then when they were fighting, Saddam in the early 90s, they said that Saddam gassed the Kurds, and then they changed it. Some said it was someone else. It could have been the Kurdish, or not. It could have been Turkish. It could have been someone else. And then again in the early 2000s, they said it was Saddam that gassed them, and it was the same newspaper. It was like the Sun and all these different newspapers reporting the same thing. And somebody did an article showing the same headlines, the same pictures, but the context had changed. And it's exactly like 1984, where Winston's job was to change the context, depending on who's the good guys and who's the bad guys.
Exactly. Unbelievable. It's so true.
But
the victors write the history books, right? The people that win the wars write the history books.
It's true that it's this is why I always think people should travel as well, because it's like growing up in the UK and America. They'll say that that the Russians are the bad guys, and then anytime you meet a Russian guy traveling, he's like the nicest guy ever, and it's like
he just wants to grab a drink. He wants to drink some vodka with you and chill.
Yeah, it's the same. Like, if you meet Iranians or anywhere from countries that are on the bad guy list, it's But this is a good thing about cryptocurrency. It's actually uniting a lot of people against all this.
Yeah, 100%. Even I'm reading the chat now, and some of the guys.
Yeah, sorry guys, we're getting caught up in conversation here. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts.
Absolutely,
and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely, yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
J-Dog, agree with you, man.
One thing that we recently went to Puerto Rico earlier this year. There was a huge crypto conference there, and a lot of the crypto elite are moving there. It's like they're, trying to create some kind of crypto island or something there. But anyway, we went there to visit, and, especially in America, not so much in England, we don't really learn too much about Christopher Columbus, but in America, they celebrate Columbus Day and like how he was some great hero, great explorer.
I've traveled South America. They view him very differently. Yeah, they view him very differently in South America. Yeah, he was actually Italian, I think.
Sorry?
No, sorry, I was interrupted. I think he's Italian, actually, isn't he?
Something like that.
I think.
But
is he? Somebody correct me.
I think he's got Italian in him. But what we learned when we went there and we spoke to like the locals, the people that lived there, and when they actually told us what he done, like we knew some of the history, but he basically come over and wiped out the Tainos, which were like the native people that lived on the island, just completely wiped them out, stole all the gold. And I'm just like, wow, like the Americans celebrate this guy. And he was so bad that the Spanish actually sailed over to Puerto Rico, took him back to Spain and threw him in jail.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucked what happened over there.
Yeah.
But the same happens throughout history with, England done the same thing.
Yeah, even in the UK, like UK, I guess our Christopher Columbus, well, certainly the last 100 years would be Churchill, who they declare a hero. But going back to what I was saying earlier, actually, he's one of the only people that has actually been documented that he did gas the Kurds. And they said that there were animals and all this kind of stuff. But it's one of those things, though, it is hard to judge people today based on like the standards 100 years ago. I think certain things, like our parents' generation were probably more racist than people are today and things like that. Things evolve over time and they get better. But it is, like I saw that when I was traveling South America, where like there wasn't, it depended where you were, but there wasn't a lot of love for certain Spaniards that had been over there and just wrecked the place. Certainly in Peru and places like that. So you were talking about how you got involved in mining. So have you guys been involved in GPU mining or ASIC mining? ASIC mining.
Yeah. So I wanted to get involved for a while, but I was hearing a lot of mixed things on mining. Some people were saying, "Oh, it's dead now. It's not profitable anymore." Some people were saying it was really profitable. And a friend of mine that we met a few years back, he's a pretty big miner. He's got a couple facilities, one in Miami and then one in Sweden. And we got chatting to him, and he was just like, "Listen, yes, the difficulty levels have gone up, But the whole aim of the game is to not sell the coins that you're mining and just hold on to them. Because if you look at the price of Bitcoin, for example, which is what he was mining. So if you look at the price of Bitcoin, in years to come, those coins that you're holding are going to be worth a hell of a lot more than what they are now. So you have to look at mining as a long-term play.
Yeah.
So that sparked our interest, and we invested some money, like some of the profits we made from like the 2017 bull run. We invested them into mining, ASIC mining, Bitcoin. And we basically we bought the ASICs, their Bitmain S9s, and we hosted them in my friend's facility. And, you know, it's been profitable. Like I haven't sold much of the coins I've mined. I've been holding them. And obviously, like, the price of Bitcoin has declined in recent days, and we're in a bear market right now. But
yeah,
you know, I'm looking long term, like 3, 4, 5 years from now, what they're going to be worth. The return on investment is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's interesting. I went to my first crypto conference a few weeks ago in Vegas, and you know, one of the coolest things was actually talking to miners with big farms, and those guys are paying. I think most of them were paying about 3 cents per kilowatt hour in the USA and Canada. But, you know, from the UK, but I've actually, last night I switched off my last GPU mining rig. I had 30 GPUs this year, but just the cost of electricity, which was fine during a bull run, I just couldn't keep it going. Do you mind me asking how much you guys are paying? Are you getting good rates up there? Because I know Canada is one of the most popular places to mine.
Well, we're not mining in Canada, but in Canada, there's 2 places that are around the 3 cents mark. One is Quebec, and one is Vancouver. So on 2 opposite sides of the country. So mining farms in Canada are in those provinces, or in those areas, and they're profitable still. Like those miners aren't switching off their miners right now because they're getting cheap electricity. But like, if for example, if we wanted to mine in like Toronto area, it's not worth it. It's like
probably the
15
same as New
to
York
20 cents per kilowatt hour. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was actually, well, one of the guys I know, I help out with the SafeCoin team, and one of the guys that's associated with that, he was actually coming from the energy industry. So he actually got a lot of attention at the conference. A lot of miners wanted to talk to him. And I don't know if it's gas or something he's involved in, but he can offer super cheap rates. And I think he's in the Vancouver area. I think that's what he is.
We know of a few guys that are mining out just outside of the Vancouver area. One of them was actually an old paper mill that just has access to all this energy, but it's kind of being shut down right now, so it's not like being used. So they're taking that excess energy and just plugging in their machines. So that's a way that they've kind of got around.
Well, that's something that a lot of people don't realize, is that there's a lot of wastage in power stations and things like that. There's certain things, you know, if the electricity isn't getting used, a lot of the time it just gets wasted. It's one of the things I noted, like when I looked at solar panels before, it was like, if you don't use it and you can't put it back into the grid, it just dissipates. You can't, certainly with solar, obviously there's issues with batteries and things like that as well. So what's your take on, well, in fact, I was going to talk about the Bitcoin price. One thing I wanted to say was, I talked to a few people at the conference, and they were talking about the fact that they're willing to run at a loss and just continue to run their mining farms at a loss. I don't know how much of a loss, but as a GPU miner, I always thought that the break-even point when you're running at a loss, you're as well just buying the coins. But as the main thing for these larger Bitcoin farms, is how important is it, do you think, if they can get, a fresh block that hasn't been through an exchange and all that? Is that a big thing for a lot of these guys, so that they don't have to do their whole know your customer thing? And do you think a lot of that is to avoid taxes? And
that's definitely a factor in mining at a loss.
Because when you mine like freshly minted coins, right? When they come into the market, I mean, it's freshly minted, right? So people could come in OTC stuff, right? Where OTC is over the counter. They'll come in and they could buy up that coin with cash, right? So, I mean, once you get into that and what's happening with the mined coins after it's mined, right? Is it going straight into exchanges, or do you have like an OTC desk that you're working with? Or are you using it for yourself so that you can hold on to something because you're building out maybe an OTC desk, or you're building out an exchange or something like that, right? So
yeah,
I mean, yeah, when you're mining at a loss right now, but the way I think about it is many people that are, you know, this deeply entrenched in mining, their outlook is it's going to come back. Like,
yeah.
Bitcoin market,
Oh, definitely. I think you have to have that outlook as well if you're investing tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Exactly. So they have that outlook. They're already, you know, knee deep in it. So they're just like, it's okay if we go for a loss for a little bit. They probably have some money in the reserve anyway.
Yeah.
And they're just going with it, and they're hoping that the bull run starts any day now.
Yeah.
Which it might start any day now. That's just the crazy part about it. So
if you've got money in the bank and you can afford to keep on mining, then why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it gives you the ability to make more bets, right? So if you're mining and every month you're getting, you know, whatever, let's say one Bitcoin every month. Every month you get one Bitcoin. Now you could take that one Bitcoin every month and put it into your favorite alts every month. Yeah. Right? It just gives you liquidity every month.
I think there's I think a big part of it though is just staying off the grid in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I saw that at the conference, and it seemed to be the guys that were smart, like the kind of ethical hacker guys, and the guys that were really paranoid about protecting your public keys and all that. One of the guys I talked to, really smart guy, he said that he doesn't have a phone, you know, because, you know, it can be hacked and all this kind of thing, which to me is kind of probably the scale of you're not enjoying your life because you're so scared of someone stealing your money. But there was a booth as well, and they were selling a lot of kind of, it was like poker chips and coins and cards, but they had these what's the name of them? Was it cold storage they call it? It was just poker chips.
Yeah, I know those guys.
So the guy, I was asking about it, and the guy was telling me, and he said that there were fresh blocks or mined, but it was created by a company that went defunct in 2017, and he kept stressing the fact that it was fresh. It's not, you know, it's untraceable basically. It's never went through an exchange. The company no longer exists. So, you know, but I can't help but think, how necessary is that? You know, it's put all your funds into a coin that can't be traced, in comparison to, I don't know, just getting sent the funds to a QT wallet that, you know, that you've just set up on a new laptop or something.
Well, it's necessary if it's necessary, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, let's go back to the example of the guys in Venezuela that are leaving. Yeah. How much would they love to have that coin? Yeah. Right? Imagine being able to put all your funds in that coin and then just carrying that across the border in your pocket.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right. So when you think about it like that's when it's really necessary. So when it becomes necessary, it's a thing that you'll pay for, right? You'll say, oh, no problem, I'll take that.
Well, that's what we're saying with Iran as well, where they were paying like 15,000 or whatever it was when Bitcoin was 9,000.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's harder for people like myself living in the UK. I've never had to have a situation where that's kind of necessary.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just looking at what's happened in Turkey in the last couple of months, right? With the lira losing so much value. I mean, if you see that and you're a young kid and you're just starting out your career and you're just like, okay, well, the government that I voted against is doing what I thought they would do, which is, you know, devalue the currency and mess up the economy.
Yeah.
And I voted against them. What the hell are my alternatives here? Yeah. Then you start to think, okay, I can go and work, you know, in a different country, just the way that my parents did. They decided to, you know, just leave Turkey and go to America. Yeah. Not a lick of English, you know what I mean? Just decided to up and go. Or you could say, you know what, I'll stick here, but maybe I'll earn Bitcoin. Maybe I'll take my paycheck and put it all into Bitcoin because it's deflationary.
Yeah.
Right. So,
but even,
you know what I mean? Like that.
But even when you're saying that with moving country, you can get a flight to any country, but actually moving to a country, like if you've been to the States, which I'm sure you have, or I'm sure it's the same in Canada, when you're filling out the immigration form, it says, do you have more than $10,000 and things like that? You just, you know, and if you do want to bring your money in, there's a hell of a lot of paperwork and all these other things that you need to go through.
Yeah, 100%.
The thing, 100%. Like, I mean, I guess this isn't related to crypto. One of the things I noticed, like when I went to the airport when I arrived in America. Now I've been to America. The last time I was in America was like 2009 or something. And the last time I got my photo taken, but this time I got my photo taken, I got my thumbprints and then my fingerprints as well.
Oh,
yeah.
But also when I returned I went via London Gatwick, and when I went to London Gatwick, again, I got the photograph taken and all that, and it was through the scanner, and it seems like it's even all the security checks are being heightened at every airport. Not that I've got anything to hide, I'm not a serial killer or anything like that, but it's a little bit
intrusive.
Well, it's not just that, like, who is looking at that information and can it be used sensibly? This is the worry, and we've seen what happened with Facebook. You know what they did, just gave all that information to third-party companies, and they don't even know what they're doing with it.
Yeah. They're definitely looking at people that are involved in crypto. Like, we get stopped all the time, and like it's like they know, you know, they have the information. Like our bank called us up. In Canada, the banks are very against cryptocurrency, right? And our bank manager called us up. He called us up to clarify that the money that was going into our business account was not coming from crypto or crypto mining. So I'm just like there's these, you know, the banks, the government, they're looking closely at people that are involved in cryptocurrency. I've had wire transfers from England to Canada stopped and sent back, and they won't even give me a reason why. So like now I just like, if I need money sent over, they just send me Bitcoin. There's no stopping that. But it just shows that this data is being collected on all these social medias, what we're talking about with our friends on our phones. And they're taking a very close look at people that are involved in cryptocurrency, and they're giving us a hard time.
Yeah, I suspect as well that most of the people that are against cryptocurrency in the media or publicly, behind the scenes, they are looking at it to, you know, transfer the wealth and all that as well. The hypocrisy, well, a lot of these guys, you know, I saw some comments. There was some guys in Wall Street, and the company was coming out and said that, oh, crypto's it's a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme and all that. And then secretly they were developing an exchange in the background, you know.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's just the way, I mean, it's unbelievable. That's the way that things happen, but it's just the way it goes. I mean, we know from people that work pretty high up in one of the major banks here, they're really heavily looking into cryptocurrency, but only if it's, you know, through the avenues that they set out. So if you do it by their rules on their terms, then it's okay. But if not, then, you know, it's not okay. Simple.
I mean, what are the rules in Canada just now as far as crypto goes? Do they want you to declare every single coin? And
there really isn't any. It's such a gray area, right? Yeah. But like the way Canada works, like everything here is oligopolies. Like there's only a few banks that own all the banks in Canada, right?
Yeah.
And they're very against crypto for whatever reason. And like TD, for example, which is like who I bank with, and I think most people in Canada bank with, they at one point were, when Coinbase was getting really popular in 2017, where everyone was opening up an account on Coinbase and you could buy crypto with your credit cards, TD were declining anything crypto related.
I remember that.
Buy crypto, they weren't letting the transactions go through. Bank accounts were being closed down. But then I speak to friends in America that are doing huge transactions, massive amounts of money. Like we're talking millions of dollars worth of money going through their bank accounts every day related to crypto. And because that the bank is making so much money from the fees, they're allowing it to happen. So I think the banks just pick and choose what they want to allow and what they don't want to allow.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think they're in a position to take any kind of moral or ethical stance. I mean, cash is still the biggest way that all the drug money from, you know, Colombia and all that kind of thing in Mexico goes through HSBC and all these other banks. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's so frustrating having to deal with all this. But until the governments know how to regulate it and tax it, it's not going to be mainstream. It's going to be everyone moving to the Caribbean and everyone moving to Malta and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, at least opening up bank accounts. I mean, we have a few friends that are, you know, in a group of high net worth individuals that, you know, they're doing their own thing and they don't like to spend too much time on certain things. But, he kind of invests on their behalf, and he talks to them about, like, just ICOs and Bitcoin, investing in that. And for him, it was always difficult to move money in and out. He's actually British, so even England is probably easier to move money in and out than Canada. But what he decided to do was just go to Malta, open up a bank account, and now it's just so much easier for him to move money in and out of cryptocurrency.
And the thing, Malta's in the EU as well, isn't it? I think Malta is.
Yes. I think so. I think
it is. I've got a friend. Well, he's Maltese, but he lives in Barcelona. But yeah, I think Malta is in the EU. But we kind of saw, like, we saw this before as well with gambling, where a lot of companies would base themselves in Gibraltar or Malta or Monaco even, or certain places in like Barbados and all that as well. I suspect most of these places will start to be crypto havens. What I don't understand is why, I guess smaller countries are more likely to do this, but why countries don't just embrace crypto and be one of the first countries to embrace it and start getting Coinbase and Binance and all these big companies to base themselves there.
Because the power structure that's in place, crypto is a threat to them. Like, think about the banks. Like, I don't believe for 1 second crypto is going to destroy the banks or anything like that, but it's still a threat to the banks and the banking system. And realistically, they control, like, if they tell the government to do something, they do it, right? They're protecting their own interests. Like, we live in what I call an oppressive economic system. And Bitcoin is a complete separate system that gives people the choice, not to be part of that oppressive economic system. So we have these large countries that have major banks and central banks in them. And really, the banks are telling the government, no, we don't want to allow cryptocurrency. We don't want it to be mainstream in this country, because they're losing out at the end of the day, right? That we're taking money out of their pockets. Because why is someone going to put their money in the bank and get 1% interest a year, while the banks are taking that money and doing whatever the fuck they want with it, making loads of money with your money? Why would someone want to do that when they can just put it into crypto, into Bitcoin or whatever they, and make a higher percentage? So I think in these smaller islands, they're more inclined to be crypto friendly, because there's not as much pressure from the banking industry and the financial systems to disallow it.
For the smaller islands, it makes sense, right? It's very little risk and a lot of upside. They're thinking, you know what, we already have the banks. We already have all the infrastructure in place. I mean, the prime minister is on the beach every other day, so we could go and hang out with them on the beach and just talk to him about what we're gonna do with crypto. And then it just moves a lot quicker. I mean, to move things along in like the United States is just so slow. It's just so much red tape, so many hoops you have to like hop through. But if you're in Malta, then you have to convince one guy. You convince the prime minister, and you say, look, we're looking for people with money to come to our island. Yeah. People in blockchain have some money.
We'll generate a lot of jobs. We'll bring in money. I mean, I don't know how the banks are going to adapt, because the whole banking system is based on transaction fees and high interest rates. And like, even just the idea of interest doesn't really tie in with cryptocurrency and what it's about. Like, we saw some cryptocurrencies that have tried to introduce this. But I tried, what was the one I tried? I've got one on my phone that I tried, and they guaranteed a stable interest rate. And yeah, they guaranteed the interest rate, but the price of the coin plummeted. So it's kind of irrelevant. But the banks, they've always dictated interest rates and all that, and they can control whatever, how everything goes. But I don't know how they're going to adapt to that. But I know that if they don't adapt to that, they're going to be in trouble.
I believe that they're going to create their own blockchain.
Yeah.
They've already started doing that.
A centralized currency, like...
Yeah, a centralized blockchain that the banks control. So they control the interest rates. They can freeze transactions. They can freeze funds. Completely centralized. And, they're going to try and persuade people to, put their money into this. It's less volatile. It's this, it's that. It's stable. I don't know what they're going to do yet, but I believe very truly that they're going to create their own blockchain and their own cryptocurrency. They're not going to adopt Bitcoin or whatever blockchain or currency is going to be number one, which I believe is always going to be Bitcoin, in my opinion, they won't adopt that. They will create their own.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, this is the thing though. I think that one of the problems that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have got just now is just making it more user friendly. I know we're seeing more mobile apps and all that, but even with mobile apps, I mean, can you imagine asking your mum or your auntie or something like that you have to download this app, and then you have to write down your 24 word phrase, and then you have to protect your public keys and all that, and the average person
that takes time. All that takes time. Like when you look at Bitcoin where it is now, right? Even though it's 10 years old, it's still so early. It's not like they said years ago that we were going to be able to buy coffees and use Bitcoin as a currency, and it's not. It's just not there yet. It will be one day. One day you'll be able to send Satoshi transactions, and something like Lightning Network or maybe something else will be in place that will allow it to work as a currency, but we're not there yet. Same with like people were saying, Bitcoin is going to be a store of value. Well, it's not. Like, how can something that was $20,000 11 months ago and now under $6,000 be a store of value? It's not there yet, but one day it will be. Once the more and more people adopt it and the development has, reached a certain point and the market cap is in the trillions, the volatility won't be there anymore. It'll be more stable, and then it will be a store of value. So I think all these things are coming. Like, it might take 10 years from now. Like, we don't know, but like it's a work in progress still.
Well, we are seeing a rise in stable coins, and that was one of the things I saw a lot of people asking about at the conference as well. They kept asking, "Oh, is that a stable coin? Is that a stable coin?" Seems to be a lot of demand for that.
I mean, especially if you're a trader, stable coins work very well for you. I am not a fan of stable coins. I just think, these things could go down overnight. There's so much, FUD about Tether, for example, right? So much shady shit that goes on. And I think this goes for all these stable coins. So if you're going to hold or hedge your cryptocurrency with something, why would you put it long-term into a stable coin? Like, just buy the US dollar. The US dollar is not going to collapse overnight. I don't know if anyone watching saw that. Was it Binance or Coinbase have added another stable coin? It was US. Is it USDC? USDC.
Yeah. What one's that? What's the full name of that? I saw the acronym. I didn't see it.
Circle.
So that's I think the one you're talking about is the stable coin that was created by Circle, who own Poloniex. The symbol is USDC.
Yeah, I saw that, so USDC.
US dollar coin. Yeah. And I mean,
Circle is
Circle was funded by Goldman Sachs.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know that, right?
Right. Okay.
It's a huge bank in America.
So
it's one of the big banks in America.
I don't really trust it. Like, a lot of people have told me, like, I'm not a technical guy, but I have friends that are really fucking technical, and they're like, listen, USDC on the back end is connected to the banks, so they have authority and can freeze funds. So if they just
they can start rolling back transactions in the blockchain if they want.
Exactly.
Yeah, things like that, which is the exact opposite of what Bitcoin is.
That's the whole
opposite of what you want to be.
So is that like a centralized currency where they've always got more than 51%? Is it a proof of stake? Or is it proof of work or something? Or?
I don't even know, to be honest.
I'm just thinking like how it would work with Bitcoin. You would need someone to have full control over it.
Right. I'm sure it is controlled by a central authority, be it like whether it's Circle or whoever. It's alleged to be backed by USD, but so is Tether, and no one really knows if it is. Tether's they won't allow an audit to happen, so no one actually knows if the $2 billion is in a bank account somewhere. USDC, I haven't done enough research on it to see if there's proof that it's actually backed by actual fiat currencies. But again, like, I'm on the fence with stable coins. Like, as a trader, moving your money in and out, if you're doing day trading, it makes sense. But for someone to use it as a store of value long term, like, if you in December decided, right, I've just made 20%, 20 times my money on Bitcoin. I bought it at 1,000. It's now 20,000. I'm going to take it and put it into something that's a store of value because I think it's going to crash. If you put your money into a stable coin, you're taking such a big risk because that coin could collapse overnight.
Yeah.
Why don't you just put your money into cash?
Yeah. Dollars or euros or whatever.
Whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like hedging against the crypto market long term by using a stable coin, to me, is ridiculous.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I saw
take your money on to fiat, like just have your money in cash. You can always come back into the market. I get it when they do it for like a week or even a couple of days, something like that. But anything longer than that, then you're just risking your money by putting into Tether, which still to this day, people are not quite sure if they have the funds to back the amount of Tether that's out there. And they just print more Tether whenever they feel like it. So
yeah, well that's the thing with a lot of these ones is, you know, you don't even know what the total supply is because it's probably in the billions. I saw what's the Winklevoss brothers? Gemini. Did they not say something that they were going to back it so they would insure you? So that if it was lost.
Yeah. So those guys, that stable coin is probably the most secure because Winklevoss brothers have always been about regulation first and compliance first. Yeah. And when they made that announcement that they're going to come out with the coin, they said that we're going to have 3 separate third-party entities, third-party auditors that will come and audit and make sure that the cash is here.
Yeah, because I saw they were going to put the public keys between different locations and all that as well. It's one of those things, I think that could be a good step towards adoption. You know, people know that their money's protected if they lose their public. You know, a lot of people, they don't want to have to worry about the public keys and all that. But then a part of me thinks if the money's stored there and they are being regulated, what stops the government, you know, which changes every 4 years in the USA, what stops them just coming in at one point and just taking the funds anyway?
Yeah. And that's, the same goes for leaving your money on exchanges, right?
Yeah.
Terrible thing to do. Because at any time, the government can change the laws and they can come in and just take your funds, like freeze your funds.
Yeah.
Not to mention the exchange could get hacked as well.
Exactly. It's happened before.
And exit scams, right? We've seen that a few times where exchanges pop up, they get a little bit of volume, they get a little bit of money in there, and then boom.
Well, I saw that this year. There was one called Exfo, which I think I did one trade on it and then withdrew. But I can understand why they do it, because the exchange was doing really well volume wise, and it's like, I don't know, maybe the guy walked away with $40,000, $50,000, maybe even I don't know exactly how much he walked away with, but if the guy just kept operating, maybe in a year he had a $10 million company, or maybe it seems very short-sighted to just get that kind of hit and run. I know there's a lot of pump and dump projects where they just create a Master Road coin or whatever to do that, but it just seems very short-sighted to just get the money and then run rather than create some sort of legitimate business.
Yeah. It is short-sighted. It is short-sighted. But I mean, it's just a bad player, right? It's just a guy that wants to make a quick buck and be gone. Like,
there's a lot of them in this space, unfortunately. You know, I've seen it with so many coins. Even some coins I've invested in, owners have exit scammed and have had to fork the coin or airdrop a new coin and carry on development on a new coin because one of the guys in the team decided to fuck off with the money. You know, it happens. And exchanges, well, there was one in Canada recently. I think it's called Maple Exchange. I saw that. Exit scammed it.
Well, actually, they were talking about that at the conference. I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently it wasn't an exit scam. But the guy, what was it he done? There was an error. There was some sort of this. I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what people were saying at the conference. Apparently, there was some sort of error with the transactions where if you did like a Bitcoin trade or you did a trade, rather than get a transaction fee, it was like a minus transaction fee. So you were actually making money. So because there wasn't a small limit to, you know, to the size of the trade or whatever it was, someone overnight just put in like 20,000 trades or whatever it was, and they kept getting Bitcoin. So they just kept doing buys and sells, you know, just kept putting in. Wow. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what a few guys were telling me at the because
so the way I guess the exchange wasn't clever, or didn't have the algorithm correct where they were charging.
I mean, I don't know if it was as much as just a decimal point or something as small as that in the code, but someone realized it, and when they realized it, they went, "Oh, hold on a minute! It might have only been like 20 cents or whatever it was extra, but the guy put in an absolute ton of trades back and forth, and generated more money than the exchange had." and then the guy was
Right.
screwed. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. I never signed up to the exchange myself. I saw it listed on a lot of project homepages saying that they were listed there. So maybe the guy, if we give him his due, maybe it wasn't his fault. Well, certainly was his fault with the code, etc. But maybe he was legit and just very unlucky.
Maybe that could be the case too.
Yeah, I almost feel bad for him in a way if that was the case. You can imagine the guys trying to build it, a legitimate company. Then
I just tell people, just stick to well-known exchanges. I mean, I don't even trust the well-known exchanges, but at least there you got more chance of less chance of something like that happening on the major exchanges, right?
The important thing is like educating people, right? I mean, just teaching people like, look, this, exchanges have gone down before. ICOs don't really owe you anything, right? Like you gave them your money because you thought, they're going to list and then they're going to go up, but they don't really owe you anything. There's no
I just stay away from ICOs in general because you're basically giving them money on a promise.
Exactly.
And a lot of these ICOs as well, there's no pictures, there's no information about who the people are, and it's like, why would you hand over money on? It's like buying a lottery ticket essentially.
Yeah,
hoping that
exactly.
one will hit.
They don't owe you anything. I mean, it's just this whole thing, like the whole space is very misconstrued, and it's hard for people to understand, especially when they're first getting in, right? Like if your friend comes up to you, he hasn't really heard about Bitcoin beyond the fact that, it went up to 20,000, now it's back down to 6, then he's thinking, okay, what the hell is it? What's the value of it? Why do you think that this, fake internet money is going to be world changing? Like, what is it? Why are you drinking the Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
And you have to educate people. You have to tell them, look, man, here's a simple use case for Bitcoin. Migrant workers send money back home. They use a thing like Western Union. If they're sending $1,000, they're paying like, I don't know, at least $20.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably more.
Sometimes more higher, sometimes more. They're paying like 100.
It's the exchange rate they hit you with as well. They'll say that, we're giving you a preferred exchange rate, and then it's like the old, if you've ever been on holiday in Europe, they do this everywhere. Free currency exchange, and you're like, it's not free. You've just loaded $20 into like €100 transaction. Just back to the comments here. Joseph was just saying that the Bitcoin Cash just forked.
Oh yeah.
That was something we were kind of talking about before.
Yeah. So this is a really interesting subject, actually. What's going on with Bitcoin Cash and Jihan Wu and Craig Wright and the war that they're having right now, the hash war.
Yeah.
It's really fucking interesting because I don't know if but Craig Wright's pretty outlandish. Like some of the shit he says.
Yeah, I've been following his tweets on Twitter.
Right, like he claimed he was Satoshi at one point.
Yeah.
Whatnot. But what him and Jihan have had this disagreement. Jihan wants to keep Bitcoin ABC going, and Craig Wright wants to split it and do Bitcoin SV. He wants to up the block size to like 120 megabytes or whatever. Yeah. So they're at war right now, where Craig Wright's like, you know what? I've got a fuck ton of hash power. I'm going to fight you.
Yeah.
And like, he's going up against a monster. Like Jihan is Bitmain, right? They've got a ton of miners.
Is it Antpool? Do they have BTC.com as well?
Yeah. They have a ton of pools, and they've got a ton of mining and hash power. I'm not sure what happened with the fork. I haven't been following it since we've been doing this video. I don't know who won, but what happened yesterday when we saw that huge dump yesterday? Yeah. I think what happened is Jihan Wu was fighting Craig Wright for hash power, and I think he switched a lot of his miners that were mining Bitcoin to mining Bitcoin Cash, and that's why we saw a huge dump yesterday.
Well, I saw one comment on Reddit, and it was like a popular mining pool. I'll see if I can find it. And basically the mining pool says we're going to switch over to Bitcoin Cash ABC. We're going to switch all the hash power there, but don't worry, we're going to convert it and pay you in Bitcoin so you don't lose out. But they're effectively going to lose money to support Bitcoin ABC, and it is a war. It is a war when you actually see what they're doing. It is. Yeah. I'm kind of sitting on. I'm sitting on the fence on this because as someone that doesn't have any Bitcoin Cash, to me, they've got disagreements on things, but it just seems like kids throwing mud at each other and just having a fight. You know, and if you look at their Twitter accounts, it's funny,
crazy.
but it's embarrassing as well.
Yeah, like Craig Wright, he's mining at a loss, and he's like, I don't give a fuck. I will carry on mining at a loss until I destroy Bitcoin ABC.
He said he would go down to, was it $1,000 or something for Bitcoin? He's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
He's like an eccentric billionaire that's just went crazy.
Yeah.
We see some of the other comments here. Yeah,
it's interesting. I wonder what's happening with that right now.
I can bring up Reddit or see where do you think's the best place? Trading View, or where's the best place to see the prices?
I know Poloniex had both of the coins showing trading.
I think Binance did as well. I can check Poloniex.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of Bitcoin Cash, so I don't really care what happened.
The thing is, it's always a drama since day one.
SP is down 45%.
Yeah.
So I think you guys have got the stream up anyway, haven't you? So there'll be a little bit of a delay. There's a couple of seconds delay before it comes up on the screen, but so BCH SV, it's got change minus 43.9. BCH ABC's up 13.74. It looks like there's a lot. Let's see if I can change this.
Yeah, we've seen it now.
Oh, there we go. Right, so
yeah, SV is down 45%.
Yeah, so Craig Wright's losing right now.
Craig Wright is losing.
So that's SV. That's been down a little bit.
Like, watch the actual HashPower and watch him losing. It's crazy.
I kind of wanted him to win, to be honest. I just really don't like what Bitmain are doing.
Yeah, it's I honestly, I've said this lots of times in videos. I'm sure if I met these people in real life, they'd be charming. If you met them at a conference,
for sure,
or something, you'd be nice people. But when you actually see them on Twitter and all that, it's just hilarious the way that they act.
Yeah, I just look at it. I'm not so much as like the people themselves, but like what this means for the future of cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah.
Like what Jihan's doing, what Craig's Wright doing, what's going to be best for Bitcoin. That's all I care about. I couldn't give a shit about their shit coins. I think what Jihan's doing with Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin ABC, and you know he's gonna take Bitmain public. It's just gonna centralize the coin even more, like Bitcoin Cash. They're sacrificing decentralization for faster transactions. Like that's not what crypto's about. That's not what Bitcoin's about.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of Bitcoin Cash. So I really don't care what happens to them. I think in the long run, I don't think they're going to survive.
Yeah. Just to clarify, we're talking about ABC here, Bitcoin Cash. ABC.
Yeah.
We'll need to do this from now on. We need to say which one's which.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, ABC and
ABC.
I don't know, man.
But
what does it mean for the market long term? I don't know. I mean, short term, like you saw the big dump yesterday. That has to happen. Like for this bear market to end, we have to go down to like the 5,000 mark.
Yeah.
It's been prolonged. We hit that 6,000 mark like 4 or 5 times. That's never happened in the history of any market.
Yeah.
And it just shows that it's being manipulated, probably by the miners, because they don't want to mine at a loss. So they're pumping money they have in the bank back into Bitcoin to prop it up. But that can only last so long. Like if a support level keeps getting hit, it's going to break. And we saw that break yesterday. Like it dipped like $1,000. It was like 5,300, and then it dipped down to around 6,300, and it dipped down to like 5,300. Yeah. And I think the sooner this happens, the sooner that the capitulation happens, and like basically there's still too much money in shit coins. Yeah, that has to fucking move into Bitcoin. And it's happening now. Like we saw that huge dump yesterday, like Bitcoin down 10%. A lot of the shit coins were down like 20%.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's always what happens.
The sooner the price goes down to where it's supposed to go, when you look at it from like a technical analysis point, the sooner the bear market is going to be over.
I mean, I saw an article before, but it's basically whenever we're in a bull run, Bitcoin say goes up 10%, the altcoins go up 20 or 30%, but when we're in a bear run, Bitcoin go down 10%, but everything else goes down 20 or 30%. It seems like the altcoins have got a higher, the variance is kind of higher and the swings higher.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, the volume is much lower on those coins, right? Like when a little bit of money moves into Bitcoin, doesn't affect it nearly as much.
All it takes is one of the developers to dump their coins, and the coin can crash or it can pump or whatever. Yeah. We'll just catch up with some of the comments here. Sorry guys, we've been missing them. We've been caught up with chatting. J-Dog say, in fact, go back. Hugh says, won't be long until you can get the man in black suit or visiting your house. Yeah, okay. If crypto becomes controlled by the governments and banks, then it'll be a way to control people rather than give them an alternative. And that's the kind of dilemma I think that I'm still not. I'm again sitting on the fence, because I think that for cryptocurrency to become mainstream, it has to have some sort of regulation or acceptance. But at the same time, I do agree that when governments, they'll maybe go down the centralized route, or they're going to start controlling things, and then you're moving away from the whole principle of cryptocurrency. Yeah.
You know what I think is going to be like the next step that I'm seeing starting to evolve in the market is this whole idea of securitized tokens. This idea of asset-backed tokens. Like yesterday, I saw a video of a developer, a condominium developer in New York, that basically he digitized the debt that was on the condo. So instead of having to rush and start building, what he did was he digitized the debt and said, I'm selling off the debt for this condo. Anyone could buy a piece of the debt, and now I'm indebted to the people that are,
So what did they create? Was it an ERC20 token or something on Ravencoin, or?
I actually didn't look into it that much. Literally saw the video last night, but
it's almost like creating, I guess the old school way would be like create a limited company or something.
Yeah, like that's exactly what it is. I mean, it's a way it's a very easy way for you to distribute whatever asset you have across a lot of people. Like there was an Andy Warhol art piece that went on sale I think it was in England, and that was digitized, and people, I think it was over 100 people own that piece of art now.
Right.
So as the value of the art goes up, then the value of everyone's shares go up.
Yeah, this is the thing. These are the kind of things that you forget can be done with cryptocurrencies sometimes, because you're spending so much time reading news and all the Bitcoin Cash fork and all that. I mean, going back to the condo example, so if someone bought one of like the condo coin, whatever he's called it, they're essentially investing in that condo being profitable at a later date or being sold. Yeah. So he's saying, I'm going to build it. So he's saying, I'm going to build it for, say, $500,000, and if I sell it for $1 million, everyone's doubled their money. Is that essentially?
Yeah, and then you know that it's backed by something. I mean, it's like an ICO, but for a condo. So what people are calling it now is an STO, right? A security token offering.
That's really interesting, because he could obviously buy like 200,000 coins himself, or however much he can put in.
Right, but then anyone could own a piece of New York real estate now.
Yeah.
Right? You could put in $10 and have $10 worth of the coin.
And how does it work with something like that as far as regulation goes? I mean, exit scams and someone just pumping and dumping.
Here's the thing. If you launch a security token, you have to be compliant with the SEC regulations. Right. So as an investor, you're protected. If the company goes down, it's not like a utility token. If some utility token that you invested in, the project goes down, you don't get no money back. You're not protected. With security tokens, it's not like that. You have to jump through so many hoops to actually get a security token regulated. And as an investor, you make dividends, first of all, just like you would if you invested into any type of security. If the company goes down, you're protected. There's a lot of good that comes from security tokens that utility tokens don't have.
That's very interesting. There's not something I know a lot about, if I'm honest.
Yeah, so we're really looking into it. So one of the things that Pete and I do, we're starting to consult companies on how to launch security tokens, right? Because our whole thing is like, first of all, we want to educate people about what cryptocurrency is. That's why we have our online course. Well, we're actually just putting the finishing touches on it, and we're gonna like release that out. But the other part of it is we want to help companies break into blockchain, as we call it, right? Break into blockchain. So understand that blockchain could actually help your company out. So before I really started to do this full time, I was working with a lot of condominium developers. So that's why this one intrigued me so much, because I was like, wait a second here. You can divvy up a whole condo, so the whole project, which could be about $100 million project, you could divvy that up and sell it to 100 million people at $1 each. And now every one of these people own a piece of real estate.
And the thing is as well, I mean, if this guy's successful and he's documenting this on the website, the next time he goes to build a condominium, we'll see the last guy's got 3 times the money back, and the one before that, they got 2 times the money back. I mean, like, even look at your situation. If you set up a company and say, well, we're going to make money through consultation and through YouTube, which will drive traffic to our membership course and to, you know, for our services for consultation. Say you need 30 grand to get an office and then buy camera equipment. You could say, right, anyone will invest and they'll get 25% of your company profits forever. Yeah. And you could set up like that, and then you could do it like a token. It's like crowdfunding your own success in a way.
It's exactly what it is. It's crowdfunding, but with it's kind of like legalized crowdfunding.
Well, the thing is, the crowdfunding thing, I used to always look at the crowdfunding websites because you saw so many cool gadgets there. But the problem with that is that isn't really regulated. Those companies, a lot of the time, there was established companies putting forward a product to try and just get zero risk because we've got 500,000 people buying. But a lot of them didn't actually, you know, end up selling out the product, and they just said, oh, sorry, we couldn't make it profitable. And then everyone lost their money. What you're saying with the security token, they've got, you know, they have to jump through all the red tape and all that, but
and the good thing with security tokens as well, as a small business, because crowdfunding in a traditional markets, if you want to do it like the legal way, not the ICO way, I'm talking about like IPOs and things like that, to get that funding, you have to be a pretty major company. So with STOs, it allows smaller guys to have access to funds, and not just in the country that the company is in. This is global. So it gives people access to global money and smaller guys to be able to get into the game. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, as the success of that token, as far as whether in a year's time he pays everyone back or not, is that going to be public as far as on a website, as far as...
Well, yeah.
Is there going to be exchanges that perhaps look at...
What's going to be great about this is it's going to be a token. So if I'm like, okay, you know what? I bought, let's say, you know, $1 million worth of the condo, right? Yep. And now the condo is done. People are willing to offer me, you know, let's say 1.5. And I say, okay, I could sell it right there through an exchange.
Yeah.
And someone else now has that token, that amount of the condo itself. So the way it works is the tokens are minted to, you know, the token economics get done. It's minted to that amount of debt in this instance. But we know of companies that are doing asset-backed tokens, which are like every token is backed by gold, right? Wow. We've seen a company do that. So the company that is involved already has all of the gold reserves. They have all the paperwork, everything for it. So all you're doing is just digitizing that.
Yeah.
Right. And once you digitize it, it just becomes so much easier to distribute. Anyone with internet can go in and say, okay, you know what? I want to buy a piece of gold. I'll just buy it here. The transaction is done on the blockchain. So you know that, you know, it's verified, and boom, now you own a piece of gold, but it's just digital. But you know that that company has that piece of gold in their storage vaults.
Just think how hard it is. First of all, to store gold, you need a fucking safe, right? That's secure. Now think about, you want to sell that gold. Okay, go to one of those stores, that cash for gold stores, and try and even get spot price. It's a joke. You get rinsed.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
You'd have to
not an
walk
easy
out like Mr.
thing.
T.
It's not an easy thing to buy, sell, store. So
well, that's the thing we haven't really talked about is even just transferring it. If Mem bought the, you know, if you bought the condo token or something, then you go, right, I need money to buy a house myself. You could just sell the tokens and you don't have to go through, like, you don't even have to hire a lawyer or do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I find it really interesting when it comes to real estate, because my wife and I, we bought our house, and it was just the weirdest process, because like I'm doing all the research, but when I want to go and look at the houses, then I have to bring a real estate agent. Okay, I get it. That makes sense. You have to bring a third party with you because you're walking through someone's home.
Right.
But when I was selling my condo, I was like, we did all the prep work, we did everything, we put it on the website, and then once, you know, someone decided that they're going to buy it, then the real estate agent took 2.5%, and the other real estate agent took 2.5%.
So he walks around the house and gets a cup of coffee, and he gets 2.5% for just being there.
Exactly. I mean, that is
yeah, that's a good scam.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what it is. That's what real estate agents do. That's what they are. When the market is hot in real estate, you really don't need a real estate agent because it's selling.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone in New York needs a real estate agent. You just put your ad up on Facebook even, and people are going to buy your condo. Like, it's just, there's not enough supply to meet that demand. But it's always the real estate agents making killings. And they're just middlemen. It's a great gig. Don't get me wrong. Like, they figured it out. But if there's a better way to do it where the homeowner and the person that's buying the home can keep the money, then why not use that way? It's just a piece of technology. Before, you know, smart contracts and before securitized tokens, we didn't have this option. But now we have this option. So maybe we should start taking advantage of it.
That's interesting. It's something that I'd like to see adopted more in the UK as well. You're right though, cryptocurrency could really eliminate a lot of middlemen that just take money for, I mean, you were talking about it earlier, even with Western Union taking their 10% or whatever cut they take for, and the thing is as well, when you look at the fees that Visa and MasterCard and all the banks and Western Union charge, it's just numbers, you know, from one computer changing on another computer across the world. It's not like there's someone physically taking over US dollars from one country to another. It's just, you know, maybe back in the day that was the case, or 100 years ago or something, but not now. It's all digital.
Well, think about it. When you go to the bank and you take out a loan or you take out a mortgage, they're not really giving you any of their money.
Yeah.
Like, the banks don't have that money there. They're just like, okay, numbers on the screen, and we're going to charge you interest on the money that we haven't really given you. Like, that's a fucked up system.
Well, the way I think it works in the UK, what's the name of it? That system that they use. I've watched documentaries about it, but basically when a bank like in the UK, I'm going to see Halifax or Bank of Scotland or HSBC, if they give 100 grand to someone for a mortgage, they don't actually have that 100 grand. They add 100 grand to the total money supply, and then you get charged interest on that. So they give you 100 grand of money that didn't even exist before you applied for the house, for the mortgage. And then they make the 20 grand, 30 grand, whatever it is, over 30 years or 25 years.
That's the whole scam.
Yeah, and this is why inflation is there, because every year the total supply of money is going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And that's, you know,
that's
the housing
scam,
market is what caused the crash in 2008?
2008.
2008,
yeah. Well,
think about it, man. The Rothschilds figured out however many years ago that they can charge people interest and make loads of fucking money. And that has been the system ever since.
Yeah.
I mean, money used to be backed by gold. The gold standard exists at one point, but now it's just print more money, print more money, print more money.
When was it the USA got out of that? Was it like the 70s or something? Or there was
something
like
at
one point they changed it and it wasn't backed by gold. I can't remember what year.
I can't remember now exactly. But the thing is, right, it's not sustainable. Like, the US dollar's been around over 100 years now, right? It's been around a long time. When you look at currencies and their lifespans, they all die eventually.
Yeah.
So the US dollar, whenever it will die, it will die. And then the next thing could be Bitcoin. And it does actually have value, You know, you can't print more coins. Like there's 21 million coins that's ever going to be minted. And by the time those 21 million coins are minted, the supply is not even going to be 21 million, because they say like around 30% have been lost, like millions of Bitcoins have been lost and never received. So there's a scarcity there that will only dwindle over time.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, like what's going to be the next currency that is used around the world, that, you know, the next world currency, it could be Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I'm not sure about. I don't know if Bitcoin will remain a reserve like gold, and maybe another currency with a 5 quadrillion supply comes along, and you know, I don't know, because I think Bitcoin, well, right now it's hard to see just now because Bitcoin still has high costs and all that. This is something they need to fix, as far as transaction fees and all that. Plus,
right. But don't forget this. In one Bitcoin, there's 100 million Satoshis.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Right.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
It's not going to be in years to come when Bitcoin is like up there in price. It's not going to be Bitcoins you're sending. It's going to be Satoshis.
Or even what's the term? Is it sub Satoshi when they start going? They'll probably come out with other terms when it's all the way down.
Yeah, they could.
They probably will, because it's kind of confusing right now. But 100 million Satoshi make up one Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right.
And one Bitcoin, maybe that's what 100 million will be, or $100 million will be. Maybe 20 years time,
each Satoshi is worth $1.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I do support other coins staying in the system, though. I do think that there is a market. I don't, you know, you look at CoinMarketCap with 4,000 of them and like 3,000, however 900 or whatever is all shit coins. But I do think I don't know if you agree with this, but I do think a lot of altcoins are perhaps driving innovation, and maybe because Bitcoin has got a specific list of problems as far as what they need to fix. And other systems are coming out and saying, well, we're going to tackle this differently. Well, Bitcoin's kind of like an old car where they're trying to patch it up, you know, with the larger block size or the Lightning Network, or I don't know if they're ever going to do like atomic swaps and all these kind of things as well.
I agree with you 100%. It's just when it comes to the altcoins, you have to make sure that the company is doing what the companies say it's doing, right? Like there's a lot of these ICOs that started out saying, oh, we're going to do this, this, and this. And then they made their money. And then now they're just, you know, on private jets and, you know, shipping champagne and just chilling. They're not doing anything. But there's other companies that are. So you got to be careful. That's the only thing.
This is something I was actually going to do a video about this soon and just talk about integrity, because I think we need a way to track all the scumbags in the system, because over the course of this year, I've seen a lot of developers drop projects and then they pop up another project. They just abandon something, or they rip people off, or they shill coins on Twitter when they know it's a scam, or they shill coins on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and then 6 months down the line you find out, oh, he got paid for doing that and he didn't disclose it. And at the moment, no one is really being punished for being a scumbag. Not really.
Right, because it's an unregulated market.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot. Yeah, it is the Wild West, and there's, you know, the problem is, like, the cryptocurrencies is attracting a lot of these multi-level marketers, all these other, you know, scumbags, I would call them, over the years that have, you know, scammed people. But there's no track record of these guys and what they've done. Maybe we need to start a database, scumbag coin or something.
Yeah, we should start a database, and, you know, put it on the blockchain and be like, okay, this guy who claims he's this working for this company, actually his past, he done this.
Yeah,
like I've found a few. Like when I do research on coins, I really dig into the team. Yeah, like, and what they done previously, who they worked for previously. That's a big part of the research that I do. And when you dig deep into some of these shit coins and you find articles on past things where they've scammed people in like the traditional markets, and now they're just trying to do the same thing in the blockchain space. Yeah, you know, it's fucking terrible. But that's the whole thing. Like you got to take the good with the bad. Like, we're in an unregulated market now. There's a lot of good for that. Like, we're, you know, people are making money and not paying taxes, and there's good things like that. Like, they're avoiding taxes.
Innovation as well.
Sorry,
it's helping drive innovation. If you look at,
it is definitely helping drive
Samsung
innovation.
And Apple, is there any day of the year they're not in some sort of patent battle? When a lot of the time they didn't actually develop the patent, they just bought a company that went bankrupt and got 300 patents to block the other company, which doesn't, you know, there's kind of this grey area with them, and they're fighting everything in the courts. But we don't have that right now, which is why you're getting coins copying each other and stealing code. And
yeah, man. I think regulations, like I like the Wild West aspect of it, but at the same time, I do believe that there needs to be some kind of regulations in this market. Absolutely.
I think the way the things are just now, it helps you, like, new coins get started and all that. But then long term, I don't know. Like, you'd want something to be more stable. You don't want the Wild West to be, you know, to allow coins to just abandon projects 3 years down the line and all that.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I think security tokens are just going to be the next thing, right? I mean, you're going to have to jump through a few hoops and stuff like that and get the SEC's approval. But once you have the SEC's approval, now you're a securitized token, and now you can go ahead and, you know, make your token distributable across many people, right? Which is kind of like what you said earlier, like Kickstarter and all that, just a platform where people can put some money into something because they want to see it actually happen.
But how do you I mean, this isn't something I know, but how are security tokens going to be managed in different countries? Because obviously a security token is backed in the USA and all that, but can it be traded in the UK, in Singapore, in China? Is this where? Yeah,
so a friend of ours is actually going through this process right now, and what he said to me is, because security have been around for a very, very long time, the framework's kind of already there. So depending on how much, depending on where you're going to get the money from, you have to abide by the rules in that country. Right, so Canada and US and UK, I mean, the laws there is very, very, very similar, right? So it's very easy to abide by all three of those countries. But then when you start thinking about, okay, you know what, I think a lot of the money I'm going to raise is going to come from China. Well, then you have to start thinking, okay, well, how do I abide by the rules that is the framework that's set out for Chinese investors? Yeah. Then you start getting into that. But the good part about it is the SEC already has a playbook. Right. The negative part about it is you're going to have to spend a lot of money on lawyers to make sure that you're playing on the right side of that playbook.
Yeah, I imagine there's going to be a lot of gray areas with certain things, and
there's going to be gray areas 100%.
I mean, I guess in theory, though,
which is just opportunities, right?
Yeah, I mean, if one of these tokens gets put on Binance, then I guess anyone can buy it.
Well, there's going to be security exchanges as well. I think you're going to see a lot more of those. So you're going to see exchanges that might do utility tokens, but they're going to focus on security tokens. So, you know, like that token that's being created for the condo in New York, like that's going to be a security token. They can list on Binance, I think, but they for sure can list on a security exchange. Now, I mean, the New York Stock Exchange is basically a securities exchange. It just doesn't have the blockchain aspect of it, right? Yeah. It just is not a digitized thing because the rules there are different. When a company creates shares of their company to make public, that's what they're doing really. And now I can buy a piece of Apple. I can own Apple, the company. Yeah. It costs like what, $150, $200? I don't know. I don't really check, but that's what a stock is but now it's not a token, right? It's a share. That's what it's called. But it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, you're owning a stake in the company by buying shares. And it's the same thing with security tokens. Whatever it's backed by, you're owning a stake in that company.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever it's backed by. So that's
I do like the idea of that. I think that's going to bring more people into cryptocurrency as well. Because there's going to be a lot of investors that, you know, they might be forced to go into crypto simply because, well, they can't go to the regular exchange. They need to go to a crypto exchange to get what
exactly. I mean, the real estate example is a good one, right? I mean, if there's a house for sale in New York, then it's going to be in the millions. Not everyone can afford millions, right? But if it's split up over 5, then it's not millions anymore, right? It's 100,000 each or whatever that is, or 200,000 each. And now I can buy $200,000 worth of real estate in New York because I know it's probably going to go up because it's a piece of real estate in New York. It's a finite amount in the supply.
And the interesting thing, like, I assume they can determine how many tokens there are, so that they can decide, well, the minimum investment would be 10 grand or 5 grand, or it's not like they need to sell, you know, everything at a cent or a penny.
Right.
What's that? Crypto Weekly's podcast created that token. Cunt. I don't know what that reference is.
I don't know either. Do you know Crypto Weekly?
I know. Thanks for the comments, guys. Money will always be there if I'm in a shop. How will I pay with crypto? Right, so money will always be there if I'm in a shop and I want to pay for something and there's a bagged signal. How will I pay with crypto? Well, that's there already.
Yeah, it's there already. There's already cryptocurrencies
there's already cards that you can get, right?
Yeah. So there's cards now that you can load up your crypto on, and they're like Visa cards that you can pay for anything with.
Yeah, when I was in Vegas, Seth Estrada had one of those, and whenever he was paying for things and it came out his Coinbase account and it was like a Visa card. But the thing is, this isn't even really a crypto question. Every day, like, I've got friends that never take cash anywhere. They're always swiping things with a card, and it's just, it's digital money. It's the same thing.
It's existed for years.
If this is like 20, 30 years now, if that terminal doesn't have an internet connection, you can't pay.
Yep, exactly.
I don't think
that's the funny thing. I noticed growing up in London, England, a lot of people paid with cash. It might have changed now. I haven't lived there for 10 years, but in Canada, when I go to pay with cash, people are like, they expect you to have your credit card on you. They come over with the terminal straight away, and then I pull out cash, and they're like, "Oh, okay." Right, it's just the norm now. Like, you're paying with digital, like with your credit card. It's all digital.
Yeah, and the thing is, as well, I mean, I can understand with a debit card, with a connection, they have to make sure the money's in fact, even if you don't have the money in the account, it would still come off, I think, and then you'd just be fined by the bank, wouldn't it? But if it's a credit card, you technically, I don't know if would you still have to be online? I think you do, but in theory,
the terminal has to be online.
Yeah, but in theory, couldn't they take a transaction anyway and just record it and then when they connect again?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. But it's the same question. We've had this for like 20, 30 years. I mean, I can't remember a time when you couldn't pay with your bank card.
Yeah.
All right, someone says they're on iTunes. Check them out. All right, okay. So, do you think Bitcoin Cash is definitely the main factor with this price drop? Because
it's a factor, definitely.
Right. Just because I saw some arguments about it on Twitter. Some people were saying it's because Christmas is coming up, because there's futures expiring, and there's a few other things. But
all of that plays into it. All of that plays into it. But the fact that yesterday that huge drop happened, and at the same time, Bitmain was switching their miners from mining Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash so they could compete with Craig Wright. Yeah, that's another big factor in it too. So there's a lot of things that play into it, right? You know, the fundamentals, the technicals remain. That if I'm not a technical guy, I don't trade with technical analysis, but my friends do, and a lot of people that I follow do, and they've been saying for months that Bitcoin needs to go down to like the 5,000 mark, maybe even lower. Like technically, if you're looking at the chart, that's where it has to go. And until it does that, we're not going to see a reversal or the end of the bear market. So no matter what, going to that price, it would have happened over the next couple months or so. Yeah. But it just happened really fast yesterday. It was just like a huge dump, like boom, down to $5,000. But there's a lot of factors that play into it. It's not just the whole Bitcoin Cash thing. But
this is, you know, again, I'm the same as you. I don't really know much about TA. I was speaking to Crypto Wendy yesterday. You know, technical analysis is basically what she does. To me, a lot of it's smoke and mirrors, and I don't really know what a lot of it is. But a lot of it seems to be, you know, it's going back and forth, up and down between a few $100s, but then it drops or it goes up very quickly by 1,000 or 1,500. We've saw that happen a lot of times this year. I don't know if it's just, I don't know. It seems to be everyone kind of follows each other, or there's a few big players in the market kind of swinging what's happening.
Oh, definitely.
I'll see if I
you have the whales, right? Like I looked into this. So for months we saw those huge, what they call Bart Simpsons, where there's a huge spike up and then it kind of goes along a bit and then a huge spike down and it kind of looks like Bart Simpson's head.
Yeah.
And if you look at the volume when those things happen, it's all roughly around the same amount of Bitcoin that's being dumped on the market. And it's just whales. Like, there's a few people that are just like, they have a ton of fucking Bitcoin and they're like, right, today we're going to dump onto the market, or today we're going to buy back the Bitcoin. So when there's low volatility, like we've had for the last like 6 months, very, very low volatility, very low volume. Sorry, not low volatility, very low volume. It only takes a bit of Bitcoin to make it spike or drop a lot. So you see a lot of big boys, or what we call them whales, manipulating the market.
Yeah. And I mean, I definitely think that's a factor. Like, going back at the start of the year, I remember a lot of people were saying that they were doing things to shake off the guys that bought at $20,000, because they knew a lot of people bought simply because they were, following the trends and following the news.
Yep.
And they wanted to shake those guys out and then buy back in at a lower price and just get those guys out the market.
Oh yeah, that happens.
But they must be doing that all the time. Then there must be like a wash, rinse, repeat, where there'll be, let's shake off, do a little bit more shaking and try and get a lower price to buy in.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, hands up, it's not something I know a lot about as far as that goes. I just kind of read the news and follow what's happening and try and get a basic understanding of it all.
What a lot of people don't understand is there's a lot of OTC trading that goes on a daily basis, and that is two parties selling from wallet to wallet. Now that data never hits an exchange, so it doesn't affect the price of Bitcoin. Yeah. So when you're selling like thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, you don't do that on an exchange. First of all, there's not enough liquidity. Second of all, the fees would be ridiculous. So these trades go on off market. Now, if one of these guys that has 100,000 Bitcoin, for example, decides, you know what, I'm going to dump 1,000 Bitcoins on Coinbase. So he loads 1,000 Bitcoins from his offline wallet onto Coinbase, puts his sell orders in. The market just drops. Right. And then his friend could be like in on it as well and be like, right, now I've got fiat money loaded up onto the Coinbase. Now I'm
going to buy 3,000 or 4,000 and
now because my buddy just dumped a load of coin, other people are following, they're getting scared, shaking those guys out. Now I'll buy back in and pump the price back up to where it was. Well, so you have a lot of this stuff going on.
This was one of the things that was on the news a lot this year because of MT Gox with, they're trying to do it in stages so that they don't affect the market. Right. But I've seen it as well. I'm not as active on Discord as I used to be, but I used to be a member of a lot of different, I'd sign up to try and find out about a coin and ask questions, and then I'd forget to leave the group. I'm sure you guys are on Discord as well. But when the more channels that you're on, the more groups that you've joined, the more likely you are to get spammed every day. And I was getting invites to pump and dump groups all the time, and they were telling you, and this goes on a lot. There's a lot of people trying to do that as well, even on a small scale with kind of small volume altcoins and all that as well. Yeah. But Bitcoin, of course, it's the big boys that are doing it.
Yeah, exactly. With these small cap coins, it's very easy to pump them and dump them. Just for shits, same thing. I've been sent spam. Oh, we're gonna pump this coin at this time, and just for shits, I put the coin up on Cryptopia and I watch it, and it's insane. Everyone's just getting wrecked because the guys who are orchestrating this already have their sell orders they'll weeks ago. Yeah. You see within 5 minutes a huge spike and then straight away a dump. Yeah. And you've got all these people thinking they're going to get rich, buying in, and they're just getting ruined. It's fucked.
Yeah. By the time I remember, I was with Pete one of the times, and Pete's like, "Oh shit, they're about to do it. Let's just check the coin." So they say we're gonna announce it at 10 o'clock or whatever, and then they announce it, and we already had it open. We had the website open and everything, and we click on the coin, and it's already up 86%, something crazy like that. And we're like, what? How? And then it goes for a little bit, goes up, and then all of a sudden it just dumps right away. And the guys that were in there beforehand, the ones orchestrating, have just made a killing, and the other guys just all got wrecked.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I think it really does hurt crypto, and the kind of thing as well. I think it's quite unfortunate as well because sometimes the coins that they pick, you know, the project is negatively affected by it. You know, it's not like it's not like you could have the nicest founder, the most honest team ever, but if one of these asshole pump and dump groups just choose your coin because they think that you're fresh for the picking, then they could spike your coin and go down, and then someone looking at CoinMarketCap or whatever website, they could look at your graph and they go, oh, look at that, that's spiked up 3 or 4 times there, that looks a bit dodgy. And then all of us, so you know, that you get this in the online world as far as negative SEO, and you could do that with a rival project if you wanted to. Yep. Just pump and dump their coin so that it looks bad, and people are like, oh, I don't want to invest in that. I have no doubt that does go on.
And think about the people that actually invest into these pump and dump schemes, right? They're brand new to crypto.
Yeah,
they've heard good things. Everyone's making loads of money. They see a pump and dump scheme and they're like, oh, wow, like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to invest a Bitcoin. They get absolutely wrecked. It leaves a bad taste in their mouth. And then they tell their friends, don't get involved in crypto. It's a scam, right? And it's just a snowball effect. So it's very negative for the market.
Yeah. But this is the thing. Again, this kind of brings us back around to regulation as well. Yeah. But like, I don't know how that's something that could be regulated though, if we're honest. Other than exchanges being a bit more proactive and looking at the accounts that do that.
Yeah.
And then banning them. But then even at the end, if people are using VPNs and they haven't been through Know Your Customer, it's kind of hard to track that.
I think it comes back to education again. Like, you just have to let people know when they're starting to enter the market, like, hey, you got to watch out for these things. There's a lot of scams, a lot of bad players in the market. I mean, Pete has like over 20,000 followers on his Instagram, and you should see his private messages. Like, I only have like 1,700, and I get a bunch of these every day. People are being like, hey, do you want to invest in Bitcoin? Here's how you can do it. Just send me this much Bitcoin for and I'm like, no, man, I'm not sending you Bitcoin. Like, you get it every day. Someone trying to scam you out.
Is it bad for spam then?
Clearly it's working because some people are falling for it.
Well, they had that on Twitter as well. That they were apparently making like 30 grand a day. It was the send us 0.01, we'll send you 0.1 back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
people
exactly. And people fall for it, man.
It's like, why would you do that?
I have people reach out to me on Instagram and they're like, hey, do you know this guy? And they'll send me his account. And I'm like, no. They're like, yeah, he just scammed me for 2 Bitcoins. How do I get my Bitcoin back? I'm
2
just like,
Bitcoins?
Fuck, man, you can't. It's a shame. And I try and expose these people. So like I said, like I've got a really big following on Instagram. If you're not following me already, the Wolf of Bitcoins is my Instagram handle. Yeah. So
I think I've added the hold on.
I think I sent them all.
Yeah, you sent me. Like, I've got it in the description here. I'll post it here.
Yeah. So I like I said, I get these accounts reach out to me trying to get me to invest into Bitcoin mining and this and that, and it's just straight up scams. So what I'll do, I'll take screenshots and I'll put them on my story and I'll be like, don't trust this guy, he's a scammer. You know, so I try and do my bit to, you know, prevent people from getting scammed. But again, it's a hard task. I'm just one guy, you know.
But are they doing that in the comment area on Instagram?
In my comments, and they'll DM me like privately, and they'll be like, you know, invest 0.1 Bitcoin and make 10% a day profit from Bitcoin mining. And I'm like, first of all, I'm a Bitcoin miner myself. I know what the fucking percentages are. Like, yeah, don't be stupid. Like that, it's ridiculous. So we try and help as many people as we can, like educate them. And I just tell people, do not invest into anyone on Instagram with your cryptocurrency. There is no legit person that's DMing you, offering you these great return on investments. It's not real. Like, don't do it. Well, and it's not just that. Like, there's a lot of scams going around that they're just collecting data. So they're promising you the world. Just enter your email address and name.
Yeah,
and
like
so
Initiative Q.
Well, I published a video about that this morning. Basically, talking about
Initiative Q is like, it's pretty ridiculous. If you go to their website and they're like, one Initiative Q coin is going to be worth $21,000.
Yeah, that was my main sticking point. I didn't even want to do a video with it, but I got like several people asking about it.
Yeah, we done like, as well, actually.
Yeah, we just did one about Initiative Q just because, like,
well, I mean, I did you look at the terms and conditions though, as far as we can change it at any time, and then we might end up selling the company. If we do, we can give that data to someone else. All it is a data dump. that coin.
That's exactly what it is. They're creating the biggest fucking data
they've got
collection.
3 million people already.
Bank, and they're just going to sell it to whoever's paying the highest.
Well,
and who's going to buy information? Who's going to buy information? When you think about it, who's signing up for this shit? It's people that want to get rich quick. People that actually believe that they're going to get a coin that's worth $21,000.
Yeah.
A scammer, a hacker, anyone that is preying on people like that will pay so much money for that database. It's ridiculous.
As well, like the funny thing is they actually say that on their website. They say it's not a pyramid scheme. Like the fact you're even bringing it up, it's like, but they've got a thing.
Technically, it's not a pyramid scheme because they're not asking for you to invest any money. But that's yet because they can introduce a payment request at any point. Right. But, exactly.
When they do, it'll be a pyramid scheme.
But the structure that they're doing there, like refer your friends and get rewarded for referring your friends. It's very pyramid scheme structure.
Yeah, yes, that's
absolutely.
They've been using it in years, this multi-level marketing. But it's funny because they say on the website that we're basing this on $1 per Q, and then they say they've got a 20 trillion supply, right? And then they've got a point that says that there's $20 trillion in Visa and Mastercards. We believe we'll do more, and you're like, you don't even have you don't have anything yet. You said they don't say that they're not actually got any working product. No, not in fact. Nothing. They said that 2019 they will start developing it. In 2021 it'll be ready.
No, like, by 2019, Initiative Q will be long forgotten, and that data will be in someone else's hands, and it's too late. Now you're getting spammed by some weird companies talking about something different.
A lot of my friends sent me these referral requests, and I had to like literally sit them down and be like, listen, right? This is not a cryptocurrency. There's no blockchain aspect to it.
Yeah.
They're building a payment.
They've registered one ERC20 token. I saw someone found that. They've registered one token a few months ago, but there's nothing on it. They've just registered the name.
Yeah.
It just looks, if it looks like it, if it smells like it, if it feels like it, it's probably
I made the mistake. This is why I was kind of hesitant to do a video about this. I did a video earlier on in the year, and they said it was a blockchain, and it was a Ponzi scheme basically. You bought in the ICO, and then you got so many coins, and then they guaranteed the price would be this price, and then obviously when it actually launched, it didn't. But the amount of abuse I got, they sent hundreds of dislikes, thousands of dislikes to the video. I get spam comments for about 3 months, and I was like, do I really want to go through all this again? Do I really want to deal with all these trolls? But these people, it's almost like a cult. It's like they think it's like the next evolution of Jesus, and they start following them, and they become religious about it. It's insane.
I mean, Initiative Q is early enough that no one has made any money yet, right? Yeah. If people start making money off these things and you start bad mouthing it, then it's like the cults are.
Yeah. Well, that's what was the name? I don't know if Norlis and anyone watching can remember the one I was talking about. I got a lot of grief for it, but it was worth it for exposing them. they sent me a couple of emails as well saying that I represent the lawyers for the company. We command you to take it down and all that. And I said, yeah, get your lawyer to contact me and we'll take it forward. Yeah. And they never replied. They didn't know what to do it. I was like, come at me, bro, kind of thing. But but these things are there. It's good that you guys are going to expose that, because there's still a lot of people that are unsure about this. And you're right what they're saying. There's a lot of people that we should be teaching them and helping them, and they're coming into Bitcoin and getting absolutely wrecked. And they think they're doing the right thing by, talking to someone and sending their Bitcoin to them, thinking they're going to get more.
Yeah, exactly.
So, has MD got any questions for Peter and Mem? I know I'm cautious of the fact we're close to the 2-hour mark at this point. Any questions for the guys before we tie it up? And moving forward to the future, guys, what's in store for your channel?
Well, you know what, we're gonna do our best to educate people. We're gonna release some some news that we think is worthwhile. We don't like to spread too much FUD, but I mean there are things out there that people should be aware of. But we like to spread some positive news and talk about the industry and just some of the things that we see happening. We've been traveling for the past year to different crypto conferences, and we met a lot of influential people. And as our channel starts to pick up, we're going to do a lot more of this. And when we're ready, Kev, we'd love to have you on as well. And basically, we're going to start to talk to people that are building in the space, like what they're building, why they're building, why Bitcoin's important to them, why blockchain technology has got them excited. We just want to spread some excitement and news about cryptocurrency. So that's the main point of the channel.
Well, that's great. Well, I wish both of you the best of luck. It's clear you guys that, you know, you're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to, you know, spread information and not, you know, there's guys like Suppleman out there that are just shelling coins and try to rip people off. You guys are clearly trying to, you know, help people.
We could be one of those guys that come out, you know, top 5 coins of, you know, December, top 10 coins of January. And it's like, but we don't know, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's people's hard-earned money. What we want to do is, we want to teach people how to fish, if that makes sense. Like, we want to show you, like, this is how we did it. We did our research when it comes to it. This is how we did our research. We use tools like Reddit, Twitter, Discord, right? Some people don't even know, like, about Telegram. So in our course, we actually break it down, because when we start telling people about cryptocurrency, the same sort of questions come up, right? Like, what's Telegram? How do I use it? So what we did was we created a course kind of showing all of these things, like how to buy your first Bitcoin on localbitcoin.com, how to get signed up to Telegram. And we're going to continue to add to those, and we're going to continue to educate people through our channel. Even something like Blockfolio, right? Yeah. People never heard of Blockfolio until they invest into crypto. Yeah. So how do I use Blockfolio? How do I create my own portfolio within it? And all those types of things is what we're trying to educate people on.
So, show the guys some love, guys. I'll post your channel again.
Sweet, thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
With regards to the course, so are you doing like an ebook? Are you doing like a video course? How are you doing it?
We're doing both. We did an ebook. We're going to give the ebook away. That's just like an introduction. We just want to spread that out as much as we can. We got things like who's Satoshi on there, like the guy behind Bitcoin, like who is Satoshi, why he started it. What we have, like a little what's it called, a converter for Bitcoin to Satoshi, and we kind of explain Satoshi, the actual currency amount to Bitcoin. Right. We go into different terminologies that's being used that you might not know what the hell it is, like HODL, for instance, right? People see that and they just think it's hold spelt incorrectly.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first started getting in, and you're like, what are these terms? You know, for the first few weeks, you kind of, you're not sure about what they all mean.
Exactly. So we understand that. These are some of the challenges that people have, because we hear the questions just from people that we talk to about it. Yeah. So it's basically a way to answer all of those questions that anyone that talks to their friends or family about crypto, we wanted to answer it in a course. And what we're doing with it is we're also helping people along. So we're going to have our own private Telegram chat where it's not going to be like trading signals or anything like that. We're just going to help people out. Like if they have a question like, you know, how do I get my first Bitcoin? I'm stuck on localbitcoin.com. I can't get a sell. Then we're going to educate them. Like, you probably have to verify yourself and, you know, do a transaction with a friend, and you guys can trust each other, that type of thing, so that more people will trust you to buy coins off you, or you can buy off them. Like things like that, where it's just important to educate.
It's good though, because I think I think this is the same for everything, but the longer you're involved in something, sometimes you forget the questions and the problems that you had at the very start of your journey. Mm-hmm. Well, be sure to send me a link to the ebook. I can add it to the description if you've got a download page for it or something.
We'll send you the link to the ebook and the course as well.
So if you decide on a price for the live, have you decided on a price? Sorry,
what's that?
Have you decided on a price for the membership course, or is it?
We don't know what it's going to be yet. I mean, it's not going to be ridiculous. We see some that are like $300-400, but we just think that's something like that excessive. Right? We're thinking around. It's probably going to be like $100, but for the first like 100 or so, we're gonna do it for a lot cheaper, maybe like $50, like give away 50% off or something like that. But it's got about I'm not sure the final number, but it's got over like 4 or 5 hours of material in there.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Right? It's just to as much value as we can. And I think the important thing is going to become the Telegram chat. Yeah. And we might even do like a WhatsApp chat, because it's going to be a bunch of beginners, right?
Yep.
And it's going to be a place where people can support each other.
Yeah.
So that's really what we want to start out with. So, I mean, it's new. It's exciting to us. We don't know how people will take it. Hopefully it brings some value to the community. That's really what we're about.
Oh, that's great. Well, I mean, obviously you guys have got a lot of experience in the field, so best of luck, guys. I do appreciate you both joining me. We can obviously, I'd love to get you back on again in the future, but until then, best of luck with the channel. I'm sure it's going to be a success. I'm sure, you know, in a few months' time, I'm sure you guys are going to have a few thousand subscribers or something.
Hopefully, man, that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, and maybe in the future we'll bump into each other at a conference or something as well.
For sure we will. There's no question about that. And I hope we do. When we do, we'll do a live video instead of doing it over the webcam.
Yeah, that'd be good. That should be a lot of fun. So thanks to everyone who's watching, and thanks to Mehmet and Peter for jumping on.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you guys watching. Thanks, Kev.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Until next time, guys. Take care.
Take care.
Cheers.